Hello everyone, I'm Doctor Tastebuds and welcome to a very, very special episode. We are here in the home of Vera Banias, a very, very well-respected member of the Ukrainian community, and today, we're making pierogies. So here we are at the table. We're just about to start making the dough for the pierogies. Now the pierogi dough is something very, very, very special. You don't want to handle it too much because then it gets overworked, it gets hard, and that's, I think, really the problem with a lot of the store-made pierogies. They're too over-processed, they're too overworked, and so you get a little bit hard, you get a little bit dense. When you want a good pierogi, the homemade, the Baba-made pierogi, they're soft, they're supple, they're so absolutely delicious they fall apart in the mouth. That's because they haven't been worked too much. So here we're going to start. I've got my flour in two separate bowls, the bulk of it in here, and then a little bit more in here. Got my water, got my oil, got the eggs, and a little bit of salt, and really, that's all there is to it for a traditional Ukrainian dough. Now the recipe that I'm using comes from the Ukrainian Daughter's Cookbook. We've had this in the family for many, many, many years. There's some great, great recipes in here. If you can find yourself a copy, I definitely recommend picking up a copy because it is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to start. We're going to combine the water, the oil, and the eggs. Now, when you're doing eggs, always a good idea to crack them into something separate first, and then in there, just in case you're going to get the eggshells. You don't want to make sure that you're not getting eggshells into your final product. You want to make sure to blend these real well. I'm going to take the salt, add it to the flour, and then add the liquids to the solids. I like to get in with my hands for this one here. That way you can do it nice and gently, not overwork things. Now the reason why you keep some of the flour separate is it's not an exact science making the dough. It's more of an art. You go by touch, you go by feel. This way, you can control the moisture in the dough. So, if it's too sticky, like such, we go ahead, we add in a little bit more flour. Continue to work. And you'll notice I'm not quite as dressed up as I usually am. That's because the pierogi making process is a little bit messy. Now I'm going to take this dough, I'm going to put it into a lightly oiled bowl, and we're going to let it rest for about 20 minutes or so. And then the fun starts. It's always a good idea to prepare the filling for your pierogies in advance. Cheese is best prepared in a food processor to speed things up. Onions are always a favorite option. Make sure to chop them up small and cook them in lots of butter on the stove, but not too quickly. You want them clear, but not caramelized. And of course, the potatoes need to be peeled and cooked until soft and mashable. We made sure to do all this ahead of time, so it was all ready to go for our next step. So, we've got our potatoes all cooked. We've got our onions cooked in the butter. The cheese is all grated up, and we've got a little bit of salt here as well to bump up the flavor. So now, we gotta mash. Oh, there we go. Fog up the glasses, there we go. This is called a Ukrainian facial. There we go. Oh, there we go. Alright, get the good old masher going, and you go to town. Ukrainian babas always have such wonderful, wonderful glowing skins. The steam from the potatoes, the starch helps out so much. Oh, there we go. Now that we've broken up some of the potatoes here, I'm going to take some of this lovely butter and onion mixture and start popping that in here. Now, like I said before with the dough, there really is no exact recipe on this. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. If they want a little bit more onion and butter, if they want a little bit more cheese, a little bit more salt, it's all very, very personal. There's no one good recipe. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. So you got to go in and just go by taste. A little bit of salt, like such. There we go. A little bit of cheese. Because cheese is a good thing. Cheese makes everything good. I'm going to start with just a little bit like that. And now we start incorporating everything together. Butter and the onions and the cheese is all going to get all mixed in there. Get it way down deep. It's all going to start coming together in a beautiful, beautiful mixture. So flavorful, so tasty. It's going to get all over the place because, well, that's what happens when you're making pierogies. Just by looking, I can tell at this point I don't have near enough cheese. The color's not right. Add some more. There we go. I can use this here too. Potatoes are nice and hot still, so all that cheese gets melted on in there. Oh yes. It becomes one gorgeous, gorgeous filling for those lovely little dumplings. Now, we'll find out how it is. Not bad. Needs a little bit more salt though. These are going to be some good pierogies. Now we're on to the fun part. So now we're going to start getting the dough ready to start filling the pierogies. So we got to make sure that our workspace is well floured. Make sure it's nice like that. Now we got the dough that's nice and covered. We take a bunch and we cut it off. Now this is the way that my Baba did it. And in fact, what this does, some people will take the entire roll of dough, they'll roll it out, and then they'll cut it out with a form like a cookie cutter or a glass, something like that, and make sure that that everything's all cut out, and then they'll start filling from there. What my Baba did was she'll take first off a hunk of the dough, and then kind of roll it into a tube, sort of like this. Now the reason why she's doing it this way is so that, like I had mentioned previously, you're not handling the dough too much, because as you roll it out and then roll it out and then cut it and it sits out, it dries out in the air quite a bit more. This way you're handling just a little bit at a time so it doesn't dry out anywhere near as much. Now once you've drawn it out like this, you press it just a little bit, and do the next one, dab into the flour, press it out just a little bit, next one, cut, dab into the flour, press it out just a little bit. And then you take a nice good rolling pin, and you flatten it once, or the thickness that you need anyways. And then that's all you handle it. Flatten. And that's it. Flatten. And that's it. And in this, it's really, really handy to have something like this, which is a stone rolling pin, as opposed to a wooden one. It gives a little bit more weight, lets you control it a little bit better as well. And then once you have your discs, then we move on to your stuffing. So, you take your little discs that you've made. Thank you much, Alexander. Take a nice, goodly scoop like this. And pop it as close to the center of that as you can. Try not to get any of the filling to the edges. If you get any on the edges, it's not going to seal properly. Now you fold them over, like such, and you pinch all the way around, just a little pinch. And again, you don't want to handle them too much, because the more you handle it, the tougher it gets. But you pinch, pinch, pinch all the way around until it's all sealed up. Make sure that there's no little holes that appear on the outside. And once that's done, you come on over here, you pop it underneath the tea towel so that they're not touching, and then you keep them covered up so that, again, they're not going to dry out under the air kind of going around. You get a whole bunch ready, and then you start cooking.
Cooking the pierogies is a fairly simple affair. Simply bring some water to a boil, add some salt, then slowly and gently drop the pierogies into the water. It's best to use a slotted spoon or a wooden spoon to gently stir them for the first minute or so to make sure that they don't stick to the bottom. Once they've risen to the top, scoop them out with your slotted spoon and put them into a bowl with some oil. This will help prevent them from sticking to each other. Transfer them from that bowl afterwards to another container to let them cool for a little bit.
And finally, you've cooked your pierogies, you've put them in a little bit of oil, you've let them cool for just a little bit. Now, you grab your bags, and you pack them in dozens, and you seal them up, you freeze them, and they're ready for you whenever you want them.
1, 2, 3 pierogies. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lovely pierogies.
And that's all there is to it. It takes some time, it takes a lot of love, but you know what? It's well worth it. Thanks for joining me, Doctor Tastebuds, when we're making pierogies and making a whole bunch of smiles. Catch you in the next one. Now that's a good pierogi.
Oops.
Blooper reel.
Oh my, we have a wardrobe malfunction.